the final shelf. It's been quite a journey. So we left off with David Cronenberg's remake of The Fly on shelf 11. So shelf 12 begins with Flying High and Flying High 2. Flying High got pretty good reviews for the Blu-ray, but you know, just for a silly comedy, I don't really care about upgrading. This is fine. This has a commentary by the producer and the writers. Also has this long haul version, which I find quite annoying, where you can watch the film in this long version where it cuts in and out and gives you the deleted scenes that would and interviews etc. that pertain to that particular part of the movie. I'd rather just be able to go through and watch the deleted scenes on their own. Flying High 2 is a mixed bag sequel. Wasn't made by the makers of the first one and redoes a lot of the jokes, but there's a really good scene with William Shatner that is worth having the film for, so I'm happy I have the sequels. No special features with that one. 40-Year-Old Virgin, picked this up cheap, and you know, it's a good comedy with good rewatch value. Probably still Apatow's best film. Freddy Got Fingered, people hate on this, but it is one crazy hilarious scene after another. I laughed very hard when I watched this film, and this particular edition is the best edition of it. It has great special features. It has an audio commentary with Tom Green, which is pretty hard to get through. It's pretty insane. An audience laugh track from the premiere. You can listen to the audience reacting to the film. Deleted scenes, featurette, a bunch of featurettes, and TV spots, etc. And they're all really good. A lot of good viewing in there. Okay, you saw on shelf 4 my Friday the 13th Blu-rays for the films 1, 2, and 3. Well, here, if you can see, that's kind of a. These are all kind of holographic images. We have the final chapter, A New Beginning, Jason Lives, New Blood, and Jason Takes Manhattan. And these are all really cool covers. I would upgrade them to Blu-ray. The Blu-rays didn't have these really cool covers, but I would upgrade them to Blu-ray if they came out. But they're fine as is, other than still being the cut versions. But you know, the full-length versions were never released. They got censored at the starting block. Packed special features, nice packaging, so they're good sets. Of the Friday the 13th films, this is my favourite, the final chapter, with Corey Feldman and Crispin Glover. It's the best made film out of all of them, and it's the most interesting. And the first 3 probably after that. And part 5 is pretty damn awful. They tried to go with a non Jason character. Jason comes back here. It's pretty fun, although at that time the censors were really harsh and this is pretty neutered, but it's still quite a bit of fun. It's when the from 6 onwards it changes into a much more heavy zombified supernatural kind of Jason. Number 7's alright, and number 8 is terrible but kind of funny. New Line Cinema took over the franchise, and they had put out these 3 films: Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason. Jason Goes to Hell is still pretty enjoyable. Ignores the ending of Jason Takes Manhattan, so it's almost like it's a new thing here, and also attempts to begin a crossover with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason X, when I first saw it, it was one of the worst films I've ever seen, but rewatching it when I got it in this set, it's actually pretty fun. Freddy vs. Jason, I watched the movies, I didn't really like it too much, but it's kind of grown on me as well. It's a bit of fun. So the remake of the first 3 films covers the same ground that those 3 films covered in a much more truncated fashion, and I actually thought it was the best of all of those remakes. I didn't like the Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street remakes. Well, I thought they were all garbage, but I thought this one was, you know, pretty passable. From Dusk Till Dawn, I think it's the only Robert Rodriguez directed film in my collection. I'm not a fan of his, but I like this film quite a lot. Another Jim Jarmusch film, Ghost Dog, with Forrest Whitaker. Hell in the Pacific The film Enemy Mine is kind of based on this. We have Lee Marvin playing an American soldier and Shira Mifune playing a Japanese one, and they're stranded on an island and they have to work together. This comes with the alternate ending, which I prefer. You can watch that separately. Airplanes Drifter, the supernatural western, Clint Eastwood, good stuff. The Hitcher, kind of a patchy film, but I love the beginning of it so much that it's worth having. My favourite Humphrey Bogart film. Now, if they put out a good transfer of this on Blu-ray, I'll certainly upgrade. Here's another Kevin Smith film. This one is pretty hilarious. It doesn't really have much depth to it, but sort of if you've watched all the other films in this universe, it has characters from all those films coming back, and Will Ferrell's great. Here's another one of the best Scorsese films, a great companion piece to Taxi Driver, one of the greatest fantasy films ever made. If they find a good print of this and manage to do a sort of a luxurious transfer, it looks stunning because it is an amazing looking film. The DVD's a bit dull looking, but yeah, this is really great adventure. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, it's okay to check on every now and again. Made, from the creators of Swingers, getting back together, doing another film. Original Manchurian Candidate by John Frankenheimer, good special edition. This is Manhunter, has both versions, theatrical version and the remastered director's cut version, but the the extra scenes that they put back in are not of the same quality. It's kind of dips in and out of quality, and I think you can only get the theatrical version on Blu-ray because there's some problems getting some high-def source material for the other version. Very underrated Bill Murray film, never gets talked about too much. I think it's one of his funniest, The Man Who Knew Too Little. Memento, this is the special edition. It has the feature where you can watch it with the scenes put in reverse order to put them, in a sense, put them back in chronological order. Great Western, My Darling Clementine, pretty dark stuff. I would say it's John Ford's best Western by far, certainly far better than The Searchers, which is just nonsense. Near Dark, one of the great vampire films, Catherine Bigelow's best film by a long shot, reuniting a lot of the cast of Aliens just a year or so later. Apparently the Blu-ray of this is very, very average and not much of an upgrade at all, so I'm stuck with this cool 2-disc special edition. Office Space, it's a fun comedy. It's a cool soundtrack. Old School, one of Will Ferrell's best. Really fun film, good funny take on Fight Club. Into Warriors, collector's edition, really good, New Zealand's best film. From the makers of Watership Down, we have The Plague Dogs, really serious and heartbreaking animated story about some dogs who escape a animal testing laboratory. This one here contains the director's cut, which is in nowhere near as good condition as the more muted version of the film, so the better version doesn't look as good. This one here, one of my all-time favourite films. I would love to see a special edition Blu-ray of this with some good special features. Pump up the volume, great soundtrack, one of the best high school films of all time, and Christian Slater's best film after True Romance. Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson, just a great film, written for Adam Sandler, but certainly not an Adam Sandler film. And the Millennium edition of Reanimator, H.P. Lovecraft story, the classic film, 2-disc with a lot of special features. Here's the sequel, Bride of Reanimator. It's a pretty solid sequel, also has some good special features. Here's the underrated third chapter. I heard rumours they were going to be filming 4th and 5th chapters back to back, but I've never heard anything more about that. I don't think that happened. It'd be pretty good if they just stopped here. This one was, it was a big step down from the first two, but still worth seeing. This is Red Sun. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this film. It's a wonderful western from the early 70s with a all-star cast. Not many people seem to have heard of this film, but you have Shira Mifune from Seven Samurai. You have Charles Bronson from The Magnificent Seven. You have Ursula Andrews from Dr. No, and you have Alain Delon from Plain Soleil and Le Cercle Rouge. So you've got the big French actor, big Japanese actor, big American actor. I believe she's Swedish. And it's directed by long-time Bond director Terence Young. And this film was the basis for it was a comedy remake with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson, known as Shanghai Noon. Anyway, this is amazing, check it out. Reservoir Dogs, still to get a good Blu-ray release with some good special features. This has much better special features than the Blu-rays that are available, so I'll just hold on to that. A cool steelbook of Robocop. I looked at this a little closer in another video, I'll put that down in the description. A double bill here of Ronin and Raging Bull. Ronin, the Blu-ray of this is supposed to be awful, so I'll just hold on to the DVD. Plus the DVD here has special features, including a commentary with John Frankenheimer, and the Blu-ray had nothing. Raging Bull didn't have anything away special features. The Blu-ray has a lot more, but it's not a film that I watch all that often. I like it a lot, but I probably watch Ronin more often, to be quite honest. It's The Running Man, 2-disc special edition, packed with special features. This cool cover, shiny. The opening of this, when you have a bearded Arnie in prison, is awesome. Here's another double bill with 2 crazy westerns from cult director Monty Hellman, starring Jack Nicholson. The Shooting, which is one of my favourite westerns, and Run to the Whirlwind, which is okay as well. I'd like to see widescreen versions of this, as the opening credit sequence is in widescreen and then it cuts down a full frame, so even though it says full frame original ratio, I don't think that's the full theatrical ratio. Sleepers, so this is a wonderful all-star cast film, very watchable, underrated, got this dirt cheap, doesn't have any special features or anything, got it for just a couple of dollars. After Lock, Stock came Snatch, another film that's pretty fun to watch every now and again. You might have seen that I had the Star Wars The Complete Saga on Blu-ray, so you may wonder why I still have the DVDs. Well, there's a good reason for that, probably most of you know, is that they have a lot of special features that did not end up on the Blu-ray. A lot of extensive making of featurettes, which are very interesting on the first 3 films, so I've held on to those. But more importantly, there's a whole disc of bonus materials, which most of them did not make it onto the Blu-rays for the original trilogy. And these limited edition versions of the Star Wars films have an extra disc with the original unaltered Star Wars trilogy on them. Not an anamorphic, which is a real crying shame, but at least they're there to watch on DVD, and even if it is only standard def. They may never get released on Blu-ray. I have them at least. Here, Swingers, which is a blast. One of the great samurai films, sort of doom, very, very dark. It was supposed to be a trilogy, but after they never made the second or third film, so this ends without a true ending, but other than that, you know, it's amazing. Wonderful film by Michael Mann, one of his very, very best. If you like Heat, you should check this out. James Caan's probably best role outside of The Godfather, and this has some cool special features also, but if any film deserves a Blu-ray release, this would be it. Transformers the Movie 25th Anniversary Special Edition. Now you can get Transformers the Movie on Blu-ray here, not in America, but you can get it in New Zealand and Australia. But I don't know what kind of remastering it's been done. It has had no fanfare, so I don't know if it's just an upscale or just going back to the when they did the scan for this, and there's been no special tweaking or anything. But you know, this is a pretty solid set with a lot of features. With this lenticular cover thing, where Optimus turns into Rodimus. It's to Romance. The Blu-ray edition of this has all the same special features, but it doesn't have the cool packaging, and it's really not much of an upgrade. It'd be great if they went back and did a proper release of this. Maybe now that Tony Scott's dead, they'll treat some of his work with a little more reverence, but this is by far Tony Scott's best film, and my favourite of any Tarantino script that's been made into a film. It's a rare, good Australian film, Two Hands, with Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger's best film for my money. Unbreakable, the only Shyamalama Ding Dong film in my collection. Really good superhero film. A shame it never became the trilogy, although he probably would have ruined it. Bryan Singer's The Usual Suspects. Here's Watership Down. Wonderful film. Wedding Crashers, picked this up cheap, it's a good laugh. Lastly, The Wrestler. So that's us through all 12 shelves.